Hi and welcome to Rockin' the Planet. I'm Shane. I'm so glad you could join me tonight to celebrate more of the diverse New Zealand musical talent. Joining me on the couch this week is Alistair Riddell, one of New Zealand's great creative talents. Not only is a singer, a songwriter, performer, but now making a name for himself in the world of film. Then we'll take a musical journey with the spirit of Gaia Tree and chat with Franco Hecchi and Liz Martinek. But before we meet my guests, let's see who's been rocking the planet this week. Well, if like me, you've been watching fascinated by the American Party candidate selections, your musical ear would have picked up the choice of music the candidates choose to play while they make their grand entrances and exits to and from the podium to make their speeches. Donald Trump has been using Start Me Up and You Can't Always Get What You Want. When Mick and Keith heard their songs playing at a Trump rally being broadcast on TV recently, they instantly issued notice for him to cease using them for this purpose. Donald Trump had not asked their permission. Well, funny that. I actually thought that when I heard that Start Me Up playing as Trump walked in, I thought, I wonder if they got permission to play that. Anyway, obviously they hadn't. Anyway, let's get to the serious stuff now. My first very special guest. I am so excited, I really can hardly contain myself. It's Mr. Alistair Riddell. How are you, mate? Come on, shake my hand.
I'll give you a hug, Shane.
It's good to see you still there, mate. Oh, it's wonderful
Still alive
having you
and
here,
kicking.
mate. Yeah. I mean, we haven't caught up really properly for, well, at least 20 years.
About 12 years.
12 years, you think? Yeah, was that? We were in a bar or so, having a
right.
chat and everything.
Yeah.
And you were playing in the band and so on. And I've always been a fan of yours since we signed autographs in the record shop in 1981.
Downtown.
Or something. Yeah, in downtown. There's no such thing as a record store now.
No.
Only, retro. But anyway, great to have you here, mate. And it's been so long. I've been trying to get... You've been so busy. You've just come off a Bowie tribute tour.
That's right. Mm.
Now, how did that go?
Oh, it went really well.
Great.
We had a great time.
Yeah, no,
I was a bit frustrated. I think it would have been nice if we'd been able to do a few more gigs, but maybe we will. We'll just see what happens.
I thought, it was really quick, like, there's a Bowie tour on.
3.
And you did 3 shows, and you had, Jordan Luck joined you, another person we had on here recently.
Zane Griff.
Zane Griff, who did a great job.
Yeah. And Skyscraper Stan, and a lady called Olympia from Australia.
Yeah. No, I didn't see the actual show. I never had a chance. I was here working when you were in Auckland that night. And I saw the rehearsals on YouTube, and you were amazing, man. Now, Bowie, that was really where you started, was it? Was he one of your biggest inspirations?
Everyone says that.
You're going to have to ask him.
Yeah, well, I never liked being called New Zealand's David Bowie, but I've kind of got used to it. In fact, I think it's a compliment. So
we all have our heroes, and we all, take them as our inspirations and work on that angle first before we find our own space.
Yeah, well, I went through the music in the 60s, and I was into blues and very much into people like Jimi Hendrix and Cream.
Yeah.
And I think in the about 69, and I was still at school, I started getting into T-Rex.
Great band, yeah.
Great band, and the sort of glam thing was happening, and I didn't really know about David Bowie so much, and it was in 69, though, that a friend of mine, Selwyn Jones, who ended up being the king of the radio in Melbourne, and sadly passed away years ago now, but Selwyn he was my best friend, and went home from school one day, and he produced this record, which was the David Bowie album, with Space Oddity on it.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and that was that. So after that, you couldn't get his albums here, so I used to get them from the UK.
Yeah.
I think Man Who Sold the World and Hunky Dory. I actually ordered from
album.
Yeah.
So Bowie, apart from that's your initial inspiration. Then you moved on, but you came out of nowhere on New Faces in 1975. Now you had the glam rock thing. You really developed, and you wrote the song now Out on the Street. Now, did you sit down? Were you writing a lot of material at that time? So.
Yeah, we'd been in a band. I'd been in a band with Eddie Rayner. In fact, the other 3 guys in that band all joined Split Enz. So Split Enz had been a sort of, kind of folk pop band.
Yeah.
It had been in studio when New Faces, I think the year before or something like that. And So they'd done quite well with that, but it wasn't sort of what Split Enz become. I think they even became. I think they spelled that name with a D.
Yeah, because
E-N-D-S.
Barry Coburn was my flatmate, who was their manager in the early days.
Well, you'd know the whole
and
story.
he signed them up, and he had them at universities and things like that around gigs. And he said, "I've got this great new band called Split Enz. Wow, they're fantastic, with the D." And and so I listened to a lot of their early stuff, their first couple of singles, and before they.
I think you'd have to. I mean, I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly all the details now, but we had this band called Orb, and then some of the guys left the original Split Enz, and I think there was Phil and Tim and pretty much them left, and we had this band called Orb, and kind of
RB.
ORB, yes, and they kind of just thought, well, I guess we would make the band up, so they asked us all to join, and I didn't, but the other guys all did. So.
And the reason for that? I mean, you just didn't.
Because I was hell bent on my glam rock thing, and I don't think that Split Enz were really a glam rock band, and there was no criticism of them. It was just a style thing, so I wanted to pursue my own career.
Yeah.
So they did. That was only the first time I was asked to join, because I was asked to join years later, and of course because I didn't join, Neil Finn joined. So
Neil Finn joined. Of course, it's history.
Yeah.
And they moved on to incredible things, as you did too. I mean,
well, not as incredible.
No, but it was an amazing. Suddenly you were there. You appeared on the television, and the whole country went crazy about you.
Yes.
Space Waltz was huge. I mean, I know I'd been away in England, and I just came back, and new faces, I was watching it, and you came on the screen, and hey, you got it sorted,
I've had a lot of people who were in the UK who just come back.
Yeah.
At the time, Chas Toogood, I don't know if you used to he said that to me, same story, amongst a lot of other people, and I think that a lot of people who'd been in the UK were surprised that there was something as up-to-date happening here.
Yeah. Did you guys get any reaction in the UK and in Europe or America?
It was a different world from now.
It was, of course it was.
Now it's such a global world.
Yeah, now
and it was so hard to get any traction. Mike Wells, who was the CEO of EMI here, ended up being the CEO of EMI International.
Yeah. But
that was some years later. And I think the biggest thing for me was that I went to Australia, and a guy called Michael Browning was my.
I know Michael Browning.
So Michael Browning was the nephew of a guy who worked for my dad.
Yeah.
My dad was a pretty successful publisher in Australia, and Dad said, "Come over to Melbourne, because there's this young guy over there. He's doing quite well. He's got some bands." And I said, "Okay." I think it was late. It was around Christmas, 74, 75, and it was just before Christmas. And we went over there, and I met Michael. Seemed a really nice guy. I really talked to him, and he said, "Come down to Moonee Ponds Town Hall and see this young band I've got, down at Moonee Ponds Town Hall." So I thought, okay. So we went down there, and there's probably 300 kids, AC/DC.
Yeah.
And that was the band that he was pushing and trying to get traction with. And I don't know, but cut a long story short, when we went over, Space Waltz went over, it was the worst thing I ever did in my career, because he said, we're going to England. We're going to take the two bands. We'll take Space Waltz, AC/DC to the UK. And the guys in my band didn't want to go. I mean, you've got to put it into context.
Well, I was in England when they arrived.
Yeah, well, but you know what Kiwis were like then? It was like the idea of going to Australia was a big deal.
Yeah.
Something going to the UK was like going to Mars.
Yeah,
and we had Mike Gudinski in the same building as Michael Browning going, "Come to us, come to come to Mushroom." So, but the thing is, there's a thing Voltaire said, and it's greatly impressed me through the years as I've got older. Love those who love you.
Yeah.
And I think you've been in the music business long enough to know that if someone if you've got somebody who loves you and they love what you do, those are the people you stick with.
That's what you need.
Because it's a big bad world out there.
It is.
Without the kind of...
it is. You need belief. Someone to believe in you.
And there may be a lot of... in those days, there were bad recording deals and bad...
shockers.
Publishing deals and all the rest
of it.
There still are. But, so here, Michael, I mean, even in the end, Michael said, had a conversation. He said, look, we'll dump the band.
Yeah.
Get rid of the band. You don't need the band. You know, we'll just take you. Take you,
Yeah.
AC/DC. And I think out of loyalty or who knows, you know, who knows.
No, you're a good, honest man, and that's what happened to me. Same thing. Loyalty kept me from doing some things that I should have just gone. Other people would have just said, oh, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And they would
well,
have just
you're talking about
discarded
David Bowie.
everybody
I
else.
think David Bowie was a guy who just did it.
Yeah, and you go ahead and you forget about, you lose the flotsam. You just say, sorry, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
They want me, I'm going.
Stride the world like a
stride the
colossus.
world. Yeah. And hurt a lot of people on the way. But,
well,
you know, you could
that
you
happens.
could do, but
who knows? I mean, it's
we
all-
end up getting hurt. Here we are, both got the same story, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I let so many chances go by in the same sort of sense of the word. I remember AC/DC arriving in England when I was there, playing the Marquee. They set them up with some gigs at the Marquee. You would have been on the same bill, probably.
Yeah.
And everyone was raving about them because they couldn't believe the little guy in the school cap and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were different. They were from out of town, you know, and everyone was looking for something different. And you'd have been just the same. And it wasn't that song, Out on the Street. I don't want to sit and talk about that all night, but it was an international hit. I don't care what anyone says.
Mm.
And it might still be.
Well, thank you for saying so. I mean, I believed so at the time. I mean, Eddie and I always had this dream in Orb. We thought we were going to be the guys who were... And then later on, I remember he spent an hour on the phone from the UK in those days. That was an expensive phone call saying, come join Split Enz. This is when Phil was leaving. He said, come and join the band. We can... Who knows what will happen. But I had an album coming out then with Glenn Tucker.
Yes.
So I felt I had a commitment to Glenn.
Which is when I came back in the 80s and you'd just done an album at Mascot.
That's right.
Well, anyway, we're going to get you to play one of your great songs. You're going to do me the honour. I'm really requesting this. And for everyone, all your fans out there, from 1975 when you wrote this song, Out on the Street. Would you do me an acoustic version?
I've never done an acoustic version before, but I will give it a shot.
Whoa. Here he is, Alistair Riddell with Out on the Street. Acoustic.
Who's the lady who whispers lightning from her lips? A sign of Aphrodite or a grave apocalypse? Don't ask this child for guidance. Don't ask for strength or glory. Don't follow her directives till you've heard her tell her story. And when she dances, she spins pirouettes and fire. You can't maintain defenses when the lady plays desire. Gone without chances of the gazes and the glances of a boy who tried to follow her. To what does she aspire? She's out on the street, out on the street, and she talks to everyone she meets. Out on the street, she's no illusion. She tells me she's right, but she knows that she's wrong. Out on the street, out on the street, and she talks to everyone she meets. Out on the street, she's no illusion. She tells me she's right, but she knows that she's wrong. With prayers of hope, I tried to reconcile my fears. The chances of survival as she crucifies me ears. She says living jokes that no one has the answers. So she spits at love and dries my tears much time as she dances.
Out on the street, and she talks to everyone she meets. Out on the street, she's no illusion. She tells me she's right, but she knows she's wrong. But yes, she'll rap around town, trying so hard to be cool and wanton, and she moves with the sound. God, the lady never frowns, though she's pushing me away. That's alright, she's okay. She's out on the street. She talks to everyone she meets. She's no illusion. She tells me she's right, but she knows she's wrong. Out on the street. And she talks.
Alistair, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. I know everyone's going to be happy. That's an original. We might bootleg that one. What do you reckon, folks? Okay. Alistair Riddell, Unplugged. Anyway, look, Alistair, you have a brand new career ahead of you. I believe that I've just seen you've directed 2 new movies that are being released right as we speak. One of them is called, the first one is called, well,
Broken Hallelujah.
Yeah, Broken Hallelujah now. And the other one is
West of Eden.
West of Eden. Now, the 2 movies, I've seen the trailers and I was amazed at the photography and the vibe, and it just looked like, they look like 2 brilliant movies, and I want to tell you
Thank
that.
you.
So, and now you directed it.
I did, yeah.
I believe you had a bit of a, when you started, before you got into the music, you were quite into film and the art of film. And
Well,
so
when
on.
I was, back in the late 60s, really, I was very much into film and European cinema, alternative cinema. So
Yeah. So you harbored.
I was thinking I would do that. And in fact, I was nearly involved in a filmmaking cooperative that was being established at the time. And then the music sort of took off and it became my obsession, really, to be honest. So the film drifted away into the background, but it was always there. And I've got a major in art history.
Yes.
So composition and all that, so that helps. So I thought, well, my wife's an actor, she's actress,
She's also a writer.
and she's a terrific writer, writes screenplays. So I just decided about 6-7 years ago that we'd give it a go, and it's been a long and hard road, because it's quite late
Big
in
call,
life
I mean,
to be taking up.
and financially as well. Everything, there's a lot of stuff goes in. It's like the Trump campaign. I mean, there's a lot of work goes into just
Tremendous amount.
getting a film off the ground.
Logistically and financially and emotionally and in all sorts of ways.
So-
Different from music. With music, you write a song and you can write an album's worth. I thought that was hard enough, but it takes years to get the film from the point where you initiate the script right through to the point where you have a finished film.
Exactly. And as a director, there's a hell of a lot of other stuff that goes on in your brain, apart from just watching the actors. There's the visual, whole concept of the thing. And
who am I? What do I want? Where am I going?
How am we going to be? What's it going to look like? And what's it going to sound like even? And are we going to have a, what do you call it, a launch?
We're going to have a
preview?
launch for West of Eden, yes, and you'll be invited.
When is the launch?
It's going to be either late June or early July.
Late June, early July.
The Bowie tour is rather sort of...
You set you back a couple of months.
Put me off a stroke,
So once again, West of Eden, that's the new one that's coming out in June, July. Go and see it, I'm sure. Directed by Alice Riddell, written by Vanessa Riddell. Man, you haven't stopped. Just keep up the good work. And it's such a fantastic thing, just having you here on the show, mate.
It's great to be here, Shane.
And you come back later in the year and tell me about it. It's all going.
I'd love to.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Alistair Riddell. Wonderful having him. Now, my next very special guest, VIPs, definitely, all the way from Mangawai, have come down to visit us tonight. And I just want to say a big welcome to Franco Hecky. Franco, great to have you here, mate.
You too.
And the lovely Lise Martinek.
Thank you.
Beautiful. What a lovely name.
Thanks.
Rolls off your tongue, that one. Anyway, you guys, you're known as Gayatri. Now, there are other people involved in the band. But both of you come to represent the thing tonight.
Yeah.
Now, we're looking at something of a different experience with music here. I probably would call it spiritual. The nearest thing I can locate it to is something like Hare Krishna or something way back when. Not being a totally spiritual man myself, I know I'm happy, so I'm all right,
Yeah.
I'm happy in my cocoon. You are both lovely, lovely people, and I'll start with why are you in Mangawai? I mean, what's taken you to Mangawai? You've got a place called the Gayatri, is that right? It's a 12-acre estate.
Yeah, it's kind
Tell
of
me
the hub
about
of
that.
It's kind of the hub of where we're based. It's a beautiful big homestead, organic fruit and veggie farm. It's used as a retreat spot. yoga retreats and you know, bonfire stars and good food and yoga and it's just a beautiful spot in general, Mangawhai.
Yeah, so peace and love and all that sort of thing. I'm not trying to denigrate it
not
in any
culty,
way.
but
It's definitely not culty.
Nothing wrong with peace and love. We need more of it.
we're just a simpler way of living.
But a simpler way of living.
Yeah.
And,
We've both done Auckland, you know,
Yeah.
and cities in general. I've lived in lots of cities around the world, and I find it's just the energy is just really intense, and I need a break from that, you know.
Mangawhai is one of the most beautiful spots in the world. I mean, I nearly bought a house there quite some years ago when they were cheap.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford one there now.
Well, Auckland's coming, man. Every day is someone else.
It was just a stunning place, and I love visiting it anytime. You know, I was up there recently playing, and wonderful place. And the people are nice. It's all very nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful community, and that's part of why we love it, because the community.
And you're writing songs, Franco?
Yeah, this music's such a practice for us. It's a daily kind of healing. You said kirtan before, but a lot of viewers might not know what kirtan is, and it's basically when people get together, and sing chant, like ancient chanting, normally in Sanskrit, which is one of the first languages. The first language I think ever, and it's basically a repetition of certain chants, and they come with a vibrational healing power to them, you know, and you don't need to know what they mean. A lot of them can't even be translated; they're that old. And it just feels really good to get lost in chanting.
Well, the same thing, singing together is a joy. You know?
Yeah,
When
and
everyone
singing
gets
together.
you know, when you play together,
that's the power.
the joy, you know, is there.
And there's nothing religious about it.
Unites you straight
which is
away.
really nice.
Yeah, it's
for me personally, because
it
I've always had it.
embraces everybody.
So it's not a religion.
No, not at all.
I wouldn't be doing it if it was a religious.
I'm not
Yeah.
a truly religious man. I'm a bad Catholic, and you know, this is easy. It's as close as I get to religion. But I'm just curious because I thought it might be enveloped in some sort of religious.
No.
Sort of
that's
thing,
what's
you know?
so drawing
It's
about
just-
it for me. It's just people getting together and singing, you know, and you put that with ancient words, and something magical happens every single time. And
Ancient words being
these Sanskrit,
Sanskrit
words
words,
like Om Gam Ganapataye Namah, which is a mantra which you use to break down barriers in your life, you know. But what these things do is they bring you into the present moment. You find that it's a beautiful distraction. You don't think about anything else. You know how we're sort of worrying about the future, depressed about the action we just made yesterday, the past.
Yeah.
We're never really here. These, a 10, 15-minute mantra, you find yourself, you go,
In
wow,
that
I
space.
didn't actually think about anything else in that 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It's
Now
a nice break.
so that's the
Yeah.
basis of your music. This is that you sit down like in a mantra and start writing a song.
Yeah, well,
You-
we create two genres of music. One is a traditional mantra sound, and the other is more kind of spirit rock, you know, like reggae rock. And we can perform those kind of songs on a festival stage, on a main stage in a festival.
But you're enveloping the Maori tradition of
Yes.
song
Yeah.
as well,
And
Yes.
we've added
which
that
is
into our
very
mantras.
Kiwi. All the Kiwi thing, you brought that into it as well, haven't you?
Very proud
Yeah,
of our Māori
yeah.
culture
Yeah,
here.
and your
you know.
culture and your heritage
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, so we write songs in Māori and Sanskrit, which is back in Indian roots, and English.
Now you've just been to Bali and performed over there. You were there 2 weeks. You were there 4 weeks. Lucky girl. And you performed for a concert, a festival there.
Yeah, big festival.
Yeah, the Bali Spirit Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. It's my third festival there. In the last two festivals, I've just been dying to get up on that stage and sing.
Yeah.
They have the most amazing artists, all really conscious musicians, and it's just the most beautiful vibe there.
So Gayatri all went
So,
over.
yeah,
and
so
performed.
well, three of us did. Yeah, us and Gabrielle, our violinist.
And I believe you
she's
got a great
vocals.
reception too.
Yeah, it
You're
was
going back.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Every year, every year.
We were bouncing. It was the first time we played that sound, that big festival pop sound that I was explaining to you about, live to people.
And in the band,
Yeah.
you've got a
well
a
received.
violin, which is amazing for the type of music you do. And you've got the acoustic guitar that you're playing.
Yeah, and I use a loop pedal as well, so I can
With
beatbox
the
into
drum.
that and keep it all
And then you had a conga
thick.
player. and
Yeah, we had a
sort of-
djembe
Yeah.
player and a
Yeah,
Djembe, is it? Djembe, yeah.
djembe. Yeah.
yeah. And the songs are all really simple, so we are. it's so easy to jam with people that we've just met as well. So
Yeah,
people can
it's
come
so
and just
cool.
really get into it.
It
you
was
know?
a great vibe. I could feel it just watching the video, and I know with
Oh, it
the people
was.
are here.
Yeah.
You're going to love this video. This is you guys, the Gayatri, in Bali, live. Whereabouts in Bali were you?
Ubud.
Oh, bud.
Well, somewhere in Bali. And they were live, and they were sounding fantastic. Here we are, and it's an original song called
Co-creation.
Co-Creation.
Co-creation. It's an original song that I wrote with about 50 people one day when I decided to put it out there as a different songwriting practice to see if social media
50 people.
would come and give me a line each person. So I
okay.
put everyone's lines together and created a song with it. So,
Fantastic.
So it's
Let's listen to it.
yeah, it's do
Here
it.
we go. Rock on.
We are enough just the way that we are. We are okay, but we have come this far. We can stand as one. And we will rise together. We will rise together. Empower and encourage. Educate to become lovers. Trap the world in a positive way. And rest assured that it is not too late. 'Cause love is the answer. Love is the way. Love is the answer, love is the way. Listen, give, and breathe this way. Listen, give, and breathe this way. Keep your gaze to the sun and close your eyes and pray for everyone. With peace of
Co-creation. I nearly said procreation, but anyway, that's the next one apparently. Co-creation, beautiful song by Gayatri. And Gayatri, I mean, you guys, the passion there is great, and the crowd loved you.
Yeah.
I mean, you must have come away with a tremendous vibe going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why we do it. It's
And you,
Words can't express. It was
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, and you're striving to do much more, obviously.
Yeah.
You want to get back and do some more of that.
Well, we're trying to bring the artist down from the podiums that artists have been on down to the audience level
Yeah.
where
Yeah, I know.
we are just one. We're all singing together and
Yeah.
dancing
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, I understand that.
With no ego, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, we're on the same level. you
Yeah,
know.
we are.
Let's
Yeah.
just party together.
yeah,
party
exactly.
That's a lovely concept.
Yeah.
The truth.
Well, work hard at it because it's going great.
Thank you.
And
Thank
you're actually in the studio recording now.
Yeah,
we sure are.
We're recording a song that I wrote with my good buddy Ricky Harawira,
Yeah.
and it's called Wairua, which means spirit in Māori.
Okay.
And we're releasing that later this month for New Zealand Music Month. So,
And can we
Yeah.
find that on the web? We'll find it.
Yeah.
Have you got a
Yeah,
website?
very shortly. Yes, it's www.thegayatri.com.
yeah.
Yeah, and we're also on Facebook. So the Gayatri.
Thegayatri.com. You can get it online. Go online now and check it out because they are fantastic. And there's a brand new single coming out. And man, I just wish you
Wairua.
all the best. And if you want to go to Mangawai, anyone who's got a weekend spare, a couple of days spare, go to Mangawai.
Hit us up,
You
man.
can call on the guys at
Yeah.
Gayatri. It's all on the website. Check it out. And
Yeah, we'd love to host you. Come up and stay and
Yeah.
do some yoga and
And music.
just do a bonfire, and sing some
Yeah.
songs and
Yeah.
bash some drums.
bonfire sound.
Yeah,
Well, I'm on my way.
yeah, totally.
Lovely having you. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You've been amazing.
You
Love
are
you.
too. Love you too.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have time for this week. My thanks to all my guests, Liz Martinek, Franco Hecky, and of course, Alistair Riddell. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Until then, you just keep on rocking.